Welcome back to a special Last Rites edition of NWA Wildside. Why Last Rites? Well, we here at Wildside, we're calling it a day. Some greener pastures perhaps ahead, although you'll be seeing wrestling in and out, certainly through the Wildside television network in the weeks to come, and more details of that as they come along. You also saw in the first part of this edition of Wildside some incredible clips from the War Games, the final countdown. Oh, the amount of blood spilled and the amount of violence in there, but still, Tank and Iceberg retire the Wildside Tag Team titles. They're the champions of NWA Wildside. However, this being, of course, the end of Wildside, although there are a few more shows yet to go, I've got one more toast to, without a doubt, the finest play-by-play commentary man on the planet. Ain't none better than the Dragon Wilson. Dan, it was a treat and a half, my friend.
Thank you, man. It's been a pleasure bringing NWA Wildside to the masses over the last 5-6 years as we were approaching. It was an unbelievable dream of a lifetime for me, and I'm glad you got to be a part of it. Fans, there's only more to come within the next few weeks. Wildside TV, you're going to see definitely some best of episodes and then a little more info on new wrestling coming to this television network. But what else we got on this episode, Steve?
Well, of course, this being the last great Wildside event, we also have a World TV title match with the champion, Brandon P. Although he's not in possession of the belt. The belt was stolen by his challenger, one Jeff Lewis, as presented by Al Getz. That's what Al Getz does. He presents people, and he presents people when he presents people. Regardless, Brandon P. had an impact. He had something he wanted to do at the expense of one Jeff Lewis. And at Last Rites, he did just that.
Oh, definitely. And Brandon P., you know, you talk about a guy that worked here in NWA Wildside in the tag team division for years and years, and you never thought the guy was going to break out, but he worked so hard, and he did finally, defeating his former tag team partner, Jeremy V, to win the World TV title. What does Jeff Lewis do? Nothing but rain on his parade. From the minute that he wins the belt, he attacks him post-match and whips him like a dirty, stinking, mangy cur right here in the middle of the ring with his belt. And then they sign the rematch. They wrestle again. Al Getz sends his goons, Pomp and Circumstance, in. They mug Brandon P. once again and steal the World Television title. So as this match began, Jeff Lewis had the belt around his waist. At the end of it, we'll just find out right now what happened.
Give me a fat lip. Jeff Lewis is the one and only World Television Champion of Wildside. I don't care. Speedy, you tell him Jeff Lewis is the champ. Shut up. Now I want you to redo that ring introduction and say it like this. Introducing the World Television Champion, Jeff Lewis.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, weighing in at 222 pounds, Al Getz presents the World Television Champion and the challenger, Jeff Lewis.
Jeff Lewis may be possessing the belt. Jeff Lewis may possess the belt, but he stole it from Brandon P., who is the World TV Champion, undisputed. And Brandon P. doesn't take to being ripped off for very lightly, as P now opening up on the head of Jeff Lewis. Oh, Lewis responding in kind, though.
A lot at stake here, of course, the World Television Championship, but more so the pride of Brandon P. My God, how long did he work in NWA Wildside to shed himself of that moniker of only being able to succeed in tag team matches? So what does he do to shed that moniker? He defeats his former tag team partner, Jeremy V, to become the World Television Champion. Doesn't even get to relish in that victory. Jeff Lewis lays him out after the match, beats him like a dog, a mangy cur with his belt, and embarrasses and leaves him laying. The rematch is signed, they lock up. Pomp and Circumstance hit the ring for the premeditated disqualification, and Al Getz Enterprises steal the World Television Championship belt away from Brandon P. It's the last show. He's finally achieved his dream, and he didn't even get to wear the belt to ringside.
Regardless, but Jeff Lewis is going to have quite a price to pay here this evening. I mean, for Brandon P, he's more than proud to defend that belt, but you have to possess the belt in order to really feel the entire effect of it. What it does to your psyche is remarkable, and Brandon P was really enjoying it. Oh, and a beautiful power slam from Brandon P, but Lewis still able to get his shoulder up. But P's got his work cut out for him too, and I think it's going to be a long night for Jeff Lewis.
Lewis hooks P, goes for the suplex. No, just drops him gut first onto the top rope.
And over that top cable, I know we call them ropes, but they're cables, no two ways about it. Doesn't feel too good. Just ask both Brandon P and Jeff Lewis how good those top cables feel. And it's developed down the fisticuffs between Lewis and World TV champ Brandon P.
P with his own variant of a DDT there on the apron. Definitely left Jeff Lewis in a mess here.
I'll tell you, as much as any part of the mat, much of that hurts. I'll tell you, it hurts so much more on the apron. That's where all the steel supports are.
2 count. Lewis, to his credit, does kick out. He goes for the back suplex. Lewis stumbles, but back on his feet. He's got P set up. Crotches him on the top turnbuckle.
And Jeff Lewis now setting up Brandon P for something no doubt diabolical and indicative of every member of Al Getz Enterprises. Hanging up in the tree of woe and now going after the throat of Brandon P and Jeff Lewis. Zooming in for his close-up, Mr. DeMille. Old movie reference, you wouldn't catch that. Sunset Boulevard, Gloria Swanson. Okay. Pin attempt from Lewis. And Pete kicked out with some considerable authority, too. And Lewis didn't like the authority part, not going for a choke. Lewis has one short fuse, which is probably to Brandon P's benefit.
If Pete can hang on enough to watch Lewis make a mistake, and that's very possible as he gets a little more confident in himself. But there you see a ruthless attack, and the shoulder of Brandon Pete, 2 count. The shoulder's given him a lot of problems over the years, and Jeff Lewis has exploited that at every opportunity.
Pete firing back as best as he can.
Pete's just flailing him and shrugging off every attempt. But Jeff Lewis telegraphed the drop kick, held onto the ropes, and sent Brandon P crashing down on the mat.
Brandon P, one of the best drop kicks around, but it's not working at all for him this evening. A change of strategy is definitely in order, but when you've accumulated all the damage that Brandon P's had here tonight, somehow whatever you throw against the wall, hopefully something sticks, and I think that's perhaps what Brandon P is enduring at the moment. Whoa!
Spinning back suplex from P out of nowhere. He waited on Lewis's arrogance to get the best of him and caught him.
Now with Jeff Lewis in a vulnerable way, can P get any breath in those lungs, get that 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th win, whatever he's up to. He needs it all right now. As Al Getz cheering on Jeff Lewis. Al Getz might be the ugliest cheerleader I've ever seen in my life.
Right hand by Pete. And another.
And P fighting back. And a simple eye rake from Jeff Lewis stops all that right away. Boy, and a pair of running clotheslines. Jeff Lewis is seeing stars.
High back body drop by Pete, the World TV Champion. Looking to close in on Lewis here. Charges in with a clothesline.
And Brandon P once again meets up with an elbow of Jeff Lewis. Oh, check that.
Big head and arm suplex by Pete.
And the resourceful Jeff Lewis manages to get his shoulder up in time. Boy, these two guys duking it out beyond belief with the World TV Championship hanging in the balance, and with a reversal from Jeff Lewis. And another one for Brandon P.
Lewis with a face buster.
The face of the feature presentation hits the mat most unceremoniously. The champ on top of Jeff Lewis, and Lewis once again gets his shoulder up, and Brandon P realizes that Jeff Lewis has brought his A game here this evening.
Well, P definitely a little heartbroken in that. I do believe he expected to get the pinfall there. But you gotta keep going.
Big forearm from P, and Lewis is on Wobbly Street, barely on his feet.
Going for the drop zone here. Looking to finish it. No, boot to the midsection. Lewis double underhook. There's the Lewis driver.
Jeff Lewis has won more than a few matches with that devastating Lewis driver. And if he's able to put Brandon P within pinning position, he has this match and the World TV Championship as well as in hand. Maybe check that. Brandon P, too much time apparently had elapsed. And the Brandon P, that grasp of energy, that last grasp of energy was within the grasp of Brandon P.
Off the ropes he goes. Duck of a clothesline. Brandon P's got it. Lewis with punches to the head, counters and lands on his feet. Here it goes again a second time. Would do it. No. Pete, boot to the midsection. Scoops him up. There's the drop zone.
And Brandon P is still the World TV Champion, and hopefully he'll get his belt this time.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this contest, and still NWA World Television Champion, Brandon P.
Hang on to that belt as hard as you can there, Brandon. Jeff Lewis and Al Getz have shown their thievery instincts in recent episodes of NWA Wildside. But
all he's
Brandon
got to
P,
do is make it back to the locker room, and he's the last champ of all time. So God, Brandon, please just hang on to it and get back there, and that's it. You're going to go down in history. Tremendous effort on behalf of Brandon P, the new World Television Champion, retaining here tonight, fans. What a match.